A one-night stand between a billionaire and black woman leads to an undeniable steamy romance. She walked into a rooftop bar on Valentine's Day, broken, angry, and done with love. But when a billionaire stranger whispered, "Make that too," her entire world shifted. One night was supposed to mean nothing, until he spent 2 weeks searching for the woman who kissed him and disappeared. Family, welcome back to CJ Stories, where we bring you emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul. If you're just joining us for the first time, you're welcome to this wonderful big family. We're so glad to have you here. Please make sure to watch till the end, and if today's story moves you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this video with your family and loved ones. Now, let's dive into today's story. February 14, 2024. Valentine's Day in Charleston, South Carolina. Margaret E. Thompson, 35 years old and completely done with romance, pushed through the brass doors of the Vondu rooftop bar with one goal: forget this day existed. 3 years since her mother died. 5 years since her last relationship imploded. 35 years of learning that fairy tales were just stories people told to make loneliness feel temporary. The bar glowed with candlelight and couples leaning into each other like the world might end if they stopped touching. Margaret's stomach turned. She shouldn't have come. But her best friend Paloma had insisted, "Ma would want you living, not hiding." Margaret ordered whiskey, neat. The bartender's pitying smile made her want to scream. "Make that too." The voice came from her left. Deep, confident. When Margaret turned, her breath caught. The man was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair silvering at the temples and eyes so blue they looked unreal under the dim lighting. White. Expensive suit that probably cost more than her rent. The kind of handsome that came with warnings. "I'm not interested in charity drinks from strangers," Margaret said, turning back to her glass. "Good. I'm not offering charity." He slid onto the stool beside her, and she caught his scent, something clean and costly. "I'm offering companionship between two people who clearly want to be anywhere but a rooftop bar on Valentine's Day." Margaret glanced at him. "That obvious? You walked in like you were heading to a funeral, not happy hour." His mouth curved. "I'm William. William C. Wick." She recognized the name immediately. Everyone in Charleston did. Billionaire tech investor. Founded some venture capital firm that turned startups into empires. 38 years old, divorced, and according to every business magazine, brilliant and ruthless. Margaret Thompson. She accepted the whiskey he pushed toward her. "And you're right. I hate Valentine's Day. Join the club." William raised his glass. To hating holidays designed to make single people feel deficient. She clinked her glass against his. The whiskey burned perfectly. They talked. Actually talked. Not the surface nonsense Margaret had endured on failed dates, but real conversation. William told her about his divorce 5 years ago in 2019, when he was only 33 and thought he had forever figured out. Margaret told him about losing her mama in March 2021, when she was 32 and still believing mothers were immortal. "She used to say I worked too hard," Margaret heard herself admitting. "That I was building walls instead of a life." William's eyes softened. Was she right? Completely. Margaret finished her second whiskey. Or was it her third? The room felt warm, fuzzy. "I opened my marketing agency the year after she died. Poured everything into it. Easier than feeling, you know?" "I do know." William's hand rested on the bar, inches from hers. "After my divorce, I became a workaholic. Built a billion-dollar company to prove I didn't need anyone." "Did it work?" "Not even a little." Their eyes locked. Something electric passed between them, something Margaret hadn't felt in years. Maybe ever. "This is a terrible idea," she whispered. "The worst," William agreed. But when he leaned in, she didn't pull away. His lips met hers, and the entire bar disappeared. There was only his mouth, his hand sliding into her natural curls, her heart hammering against her ribs like it was trying to escape. They barely made it to his penthouse suite at the Charleston Harbor Resort. Clothes hit the floor. His hands mapped her curves like he was memorizing every inch. Her fingers traced the muscles of his back. They came together in a rush of need that felt like drowning and breathing at the same time. Later, tangled in sheets that probably cost more than her car, Margaret stared at the ceiling and tried to remember the last time she'd felt this alive. William's fingers traced lazy patterns on her shoulder. "Stay. I can't." Margaret sat up, reality crashing back. This was just tonight. One night. "We don't even know each other. I know you take your whiskey neat. You miss your mother every day. You built a business from grief and determination." William caught her hand. "I know you taste like hope." Margaret's throat tightened. "William. I know. One night. No expectations." But his blue eyes held something that looked dangerously like longing. Can I at least get your number? She almost said yes. Almost. Instead, Margaret kissed him one more time, slow, deep, goodbye, and left before sunrise. She didn't leave her number. Didn't look back. By the time she reached her apartment in the historic district, she'd convinced herself it was better this way. Clean. Simple. One perfect night she'd remember when she was old. What Margaret didn't know was that William C. Wick, billionaire and ruthless investor, had already decided she was the best thing that had happened to him in 5 years. And William Wick didn't give up on good investments. He'd find her. 2 weeks later. February 28, 2024. Margaret couldn't focus. The marketing proposal on her laptop screen blurred into meaningless words. Again. Ma, you're staring into space like a teenager with her first crush, Paloma said from the doorway of Margaret's office, a converted historic building near Rainbow Row. I'm working. Margaret straightened in her chair, pulling her blazer tighter. You're thinking about him. Margaret had made the mistake of telling Paloma everything. The Valentine's night. The whiskey. The blue-eyed billionaire. The way he'd looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. The sex that had rewired something fundamental in her brain. It was one night. 2 weeks ago. I'm over it. You're a terrible liar. Paloma perched on the desk edge. Why didn't you give him your number? Because I'm 35 years old and I've learned that fairy tales don't happen to women like me, Margaret thought. Because billionaire white men don't fall for black women running small marketing firms out of renovated Charleston row houses. Because my mama taught me to protect my heart, and that man could destroy it without even trying. Because it wasn't real, Margaret said instead. It was Valentine's Day magic. Whiskey and loneliness. Nothing more. Her phone buzzed. A new email from a potential client requesting a consultation. Margaret opened it and froze. The sender, William C. Wick, CEO, Wick Ventures. Her heart stopped. The email was professional. Too professional. Mr. Wick was seeking marketing services for a new tech startup in his portfolio. He'd heard excellent things about Thompson Marketing. Could they schedule a consultation? Oh, hell no. Margaret stared at her screen. What? Paloma leaned over. Her eyes went wide. He found you. This is insane. Charleston has hundreds of marketing firms. Bigger ones. Better connected. He tracked you down, Margaret. Paloma grinned. That man wants to see you again. For business. But Margaret's hands shook as she typed a response. Professional. Distant. Suggesting her associate handle the consultation. William's reply came within 60 seconds. I prefer to work with the owner directly. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., my office? I promise to keep it strictly professional. That last line felt like a dare. Margaret shouldn't go. She should refer him to a competitor, block his email, pretend Valentine's night never happened. Instead, she typed, tomorrow at 2. See you then. The next afternoon, Margaret stood outside the glass tower housing Wick Ventures, her stomach a knot of nerves. She'd chosen her most professional outfit, tailored navy dress, heels that added 3 inches, hair in a sleek bun. Armor. William's office occupied the entire top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Charleston Harbor. The receptionist led her to a conference room where William stood waiting. He looked different in daylight. Still devastating, the sharp jaw, those impossible blue eyes, the silver-touched hair, but more real somehow. A man, not a fantasy. Margaret. Her name in his mouth sounded like a prayer. Thank you for coming. Mr. Wick. She kept her voice level, professional. You said you needed marketing services? I lied. Margaret's briefcase hit the table with a thud. Excuse me? There's no startup. No marketing project. William moved closer, hands in his pockets like he didn't trust himself not to reach for her. I've spent 2 weeks trying to forget you. Couldn't. So I called in every favor I had to find out who you were. That's. Margaret searched for words. Borderline stalking. I know. I'm sorry. He didn't look sorry. He looked hungry. But I can't stop thinking about you. The way you laughed. The things you told me. The way you felt in my arms. Heat flooded Margaret's cheeks. It was one night. We were drunk and lonely. I wasn't that drunk. And I wasn't lonely when I was with you. William took another step. Were you? No. God, no. For those few hours, Margaret had felt more alive than she had since her mama died. More seen. More real. What do you want from me, William? Dinner. A real date. A chance to know you without whiskey and darkness. His blue eyes pinned her. I want to see if what I felt that night was real. And if it's not? Then we'll know. But Margaret. He said her name like it mattered. What if it is? She should say no. This man was too much, too rich, too white, too everything. Their worlds didn't overlap. One night was fantasy. A relationship would be complicated, messy, probably doomed. But when she looked at William, she saw something in his eyes that matched the ache in her chest. Want. Hope. Fear. One date, Margaret heard herself say. Just dinner. Nothing more. William's smile could have lit the whole city. Friday night. I'll pick you up at 7. I'm not giving you my address. I already have it. Of course you do, you stalker. But she was smiling when she said it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul, and share your thoughts in the comments to tell us which story you want to hear next. Now let us continue. March 8, 2024. 3 weeks after Valentine's night. William showed up at Margaret's apartment at exactly 7 p.m., holding flowers, not roses, but wildflowers in purple and gold that looked like they'd been picked from a meadow instead of bought from a shop. How did you know? Margaret touched a purple bloom, throat tight. Know what? That my mama loved wildflowers. Said they were free and beautiful without trying. William's expression softened. I didn't. But I'm glad I got it right. He dressed down from the business suit, dark jeans, navy sweater that made his eyes impossible to ignore, leather jacket that looked worn and real. When he helped her into his car, his hand at her lower back sent electricity straight through her spine. Where are we going? Margaret asked as they drove through Charleston's historic streets, past rainbow rose pastel houses glowing in the evening light. You'll see. They ended up at a small restaurant tucked away on a side street Margaret had never noticed. Inside, exposed brick walls glowed with candlelight. Only 6 tables, all empty. Did you rent out the entire restaurant? Margaret turned to him. I wanted privacy. To talk without interruption. William pulled out her chair. Too much? Definitely too much. Also perfect. They ordered. William asked about her business, really asked, leaning forward like her answers mattered. Margaret found herself telling him about landing her first major client last year, the terror and thrill of building something from nothing. My mama died 3 years ago in March 2021, when I was 32, Margaret said, surprised at how easily the words came. For a year, I could barely function. Then I woke up one morning and thought, what am I doing? She raised me to be strong, not broken. So you started the agency. Built it from her life insurance money and borrowed courage. Margaret met his eyes. Some days I still can't believe it's real. That I did it. I can. William's hand covered hers on the table. You're extraordinary, Margaret. You don't know me well enough to say that. Then let me know you better. Over wine and food Margaret barely tasted, William told her about his own journey. Born to a middle-class family in Virginia. Full scholarship to MIT. Built his first company at 25, sold it at 28 for millions. Married my college girlfriend Rebecca when I was 29 in 2015, he said, voice careful. Thought we wanted the same things. Turns out, she wanted the lifestyle and I wanted a partner. Divorced 4 years later in June 2019, when I was 33. No kids. She didn't want them. I did. That was one of many breaking points. William's thumb traced circles on her palm. I threw myself into work after that. Built Wick Ventures. Made my first billion at 36 in 2022. Proved to everyone I was fine. Were you? Not even close. His blue eyes held hers. Until Valentine's night. Until you. Margaret's heart hammered. William, I need you to understand something. I'm not looking for a fairy tale. I'm a 35-year-old black woman running a small business in Charleston. You're a billionaire venture capitalist. Our worlds collided 3 weeks ago, and I haven't been the same since. William stood, pulling her up with him. Dance with me. There's no music. Then we'll make our own. He pulled her close, one hand at her waist, the other cradling her hand against his chest. They swayed in the empty restaurant, surrounded by candlelight and possibility. Margaret let her head rest against his shoulder. He smelled like cedar and something uniquely him. His heart beat steady under her palm. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. What are we doing? I don't know. But I want to find out. William pulled back to look at her. I'm not asking for forever, Margaret. Just tomorrow. And the day after that. However many days you'll give me. When he kissed her, it felt different from Valentine's night. Slower. Deeper. Less about need and more about promise. They left the restaurant hours later, walking through Charleston's gaslit streets. William kept her hand tucked in his, like he was afraid she'd disappear again. Come home with me, he said when they reached her apartment building. I can't. Not yet. Margaret cupped his face. I need to take this slow, William. I need to be sure. Sure of what? That this is real. That you're not going to wake up in a month and realize you just wanted what you couldn't have. Pain flashed in his eyes. Margaret, I like you. More than I should after 3 weeks. But I've been hurt before. I've watched relationships fall apart when reality doesn't match the fantasy. She kissed him softly. So we're going to date. Really date. Get to know each other. And if this is real, it'll still be real in a month. 2 months. 6. William pressed his forehead to hers. You're worth waiting for. Then prove it. He walked her to her door. Kissed her until her knees went weak. Then left without asking to come inside. Margaret watched his car disappear and wondered if she'd just made the smartest or stupidest decision of her life. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul, and share your thoughts in the comments to tell us which story you want to hear next. Now let us continue. April 2024. 6 weeks since Valentine's night. They dated. Actually dated. William took Margaret to art galleries in the historic district, where they argued about modern art and discovered they both loved photography. She took him to her favorite soul food restaurant, where he ate collard greens for the first time and asked her mama's best friend Azalea for the recipe. He showed up at her office with coffee the way she liked it, 2 creams, 1 sugar, memorized from watching her at breakfast. She surprised him at his gym at 6 a.m., challenging him to a workout that left him breathless and grinning. They talked. 4 hours. About everything. Margaret learned that William, born in 1986 and now 38, still called his mother every Sunday. That he'd wanted to be an astronaut as a kid. That his divorce 5 years ago had left him believing he wasn't built for love. William learned that Margaret, born in 1989 and now 35, sang off-key in the shower. That she'd promised her dying mother she'd stop hiding from life. That she was terrified of needing anyone. Why? William asked one evening in mid-April as they walked along the Battery, watching the sun set over Charleston Harbor. Because everyone I've ever needed has left. Margaret's voice was quiet. My daddy walked out when I was 12. My ex-boyfriend cheated after 3 years. My mama. Her throat closed. Cancer took her in 6 months. I didn't even get to say goodbye properly. William stopped walking. Turned her to face him. I'm not leaving. You don't know that. Yes, I do. His hands framed her face. Margaret, I know we've only been doing this for 6 weeks. I know it's fast. But I'm falling for you. The real you. The woman who builds businesses from grief. Who sings off-key and takes her coffee sweet? Who's scared but shows up anyway? Margaret's eyes burned. William, I'm not asking you to say it back. I'm just asking you to believe me when I say I'm here. Really here. She kissed him. Right there on the Battery with joggers passing by and tourists taking sunset photos. Kissed him like he was oxygen and she was drowning. Come home with me, she whispered against his mouth. Are you sure? I'm tired of being careful. I'm tired of protecting myself from something that might never hurt me. Margaret took his hand. Take me home, William. They barely made it through her apartment door before clothes started disappearing. But this time felt different from Valentine's night. Slower. Each touch deliberate, worshipful. William laid her on the bed like she was precious. His mouth traced every curve, every inch of brown skin, murmuring words that sounded like prayers. When he finally entered her, Margaret gasped, not just from pleasure, but from the overwhelming rightness of it. They moved together like they'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. Like their bodies had memorized each other in another lifetime. After, tangled in her sheets with the Charleston night quiet around them, William traced patterns on her shoulder. I need to tell you something, he said. Margaret's stomach dropped. What? I have a business trip next week. San Francisco. 3 days. He pressed a kiss to her temple. Come with me. William, I can't just drop everything. Bring your laptop. Work from the hotel during the day. I'll be in meetings. But the nights. His hand slid down her spine. The nights are ours. Say yes, Margaret. She should say no. She had client presentations. Proposals due. A business that couldn't run itself. But when was the last time she'd done something spontaneous? Something just for herself? Okay, Margaret heard herself say. Yes. William's smile was blinding. They flew first class to San Francisco the following Wednesday. Margaret tried not to gawk at the luxury, the champagne, the seats that became beds, William's hand possessive on her thigh. San Francisco was beautiful. Cool and bright, the bay sparkling under April sun. William's meetings filled his days, but every evening he was hers. They ate at hole-in-the-wall restaurants in Chinatown. Walked across the Golden Gate Bridge holding hands. Made love in his hotel suite overlooking the bay, the city lights glittering like stars. On their last night, William pulled her onto the balcony. The wind whipped her curls around her face. He smoothed them back, his touch gentle. "Move in with me," he said. Margaret's heart stopped. "What? I know it's fast. I know we've only been together 2 months. But Margaret, I hate the nights you're not in my bed. I hate waking up without you." His blue eyes were serious. "Move into my place in Charleston. Or we'll find somewhere new. Together." "William, that's..." Margaret struggled for breath. "That's huge. I need time to think. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." He kissed her forehead. "But know this, I'm already all in, Margaret Thompson. Completely. Irrevocably. Yours." And looking into his eyes, Margaret realized something terrifying. She was all in too. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul, and share your thoughts in the comments to tell us which story you want to hear next. Now let us continue. May 2024. 3 months since Valentine's night. Margaret didn't move in with William. Not yet. But she started keeping a toothbrush at his penthouse overlooking Charleston Harbor. Then pajamas. Then half her closet seemed to migrate to his bedroom without her consciously deciding anything. William never pushed. Just smiled every time he found another piece of her woven into his space, her favorite tea in his kitchen, her marketing books on his nightstand, her scent on his pillows. "You're sneaking in through the back door," Paloma observed one afternoon in early May at Margaret's office. "I'm being practical." Margaret reviewed a client proposal, not looking up. "We both have demanding careers. It makes sense to stay over sometimes." "4 nights a week isn't sometimes, Ma. That's basically living together." Margaret's phone buzzed. A text from William. "Dinner tonight? Want to try that new place on King Street? Miss you." They'd seen each other 12 hours ago. She texted back, "Yes. 7 o'clock. Miss you too." "You're smiling like a teenager," Paloma said. "It's disgusting and beautiful." "Shut up." But Margaret couldn't stop smiling. That night at dinner, William reached across the table and took her hand. "I want you to meet my mother." Margaret's fork clattered to her plate. "What?" "She's visiting next weekend. Flying in from Virginia." William's thumb stroked her knuckles. "I want her to meet you." "William, meeting parents is..." Margaret's chest tightened. "That's serious. That's relationship serious. We are serious. At least, I am." His blue eyes held hers. "Are you? Was she?" Margaret looked at this man, 38 years old, billionaire, could have anyone, and saw the way he looked at her like she hung the moon. Saw how he remembered she hated cilantro and loved old jazz. How he'd learned to braid her hair by watching YouTube videos. How he supported her business dreams without trying to fix or fund or take over. "I'm terrified," Margaret admitted. "But yes, I'm serious." "Then meet my mom. Fair warning, she's opinionated, protective, and will absolutely interrogate you." "Sounds like someone I know." Margaret squeezed his hand. "Okay. Yes." The following Saturday, May 18, 2024, Margaret stood in William's kitchen wearing her third outfit change, convinced nothing looked right. "You're beautiful." William appeared behind her, hands settling on her waist. "Relax. Easy for you to say. She's not your boyfriend's mother." "Boyfriend?" William turned her to face him, grinning. "Is that what I am? Don't get cocky about it." The doorbell rang. Margaret's stomach dropped to her knees. William's mother, Catherine Wick, was 65, silver-haired, and had the same piercing blue eyes as her son. She swept into the penthouse like she owned it, took one look at Margaret, and smiled. "So you're the woman who's had my son calling me at midnight like a lovesick teenager." Margaret's cheeks burned. "Mrs. Wick, it's lovely to meet you. Call me Catherine. And sit. Let's talk." The next 2 hours were the most intense of Margaret's life. Catherine asked about everything: her business, her family, her intentions with William, her 5-year plan, her favorite books, her thoughts on raising children. "I'm not trying to scare you," Catherine said over coffee. "But my son was destroyed by his divorce. Absolutely shattered. It took him years to even consider dating again." She looked at Margaret directly. "If you're not sure about him, walk away now. Before he falls any deeper." Margaret's throat was tight. "I'm sure. I'm terrified and completely out of my depth, but I'm sure." "Good." Catherine's expression softened. "Because he's different with you. Lighter. Like he remembers how to be happy." Later, after Catherine left for her hotel, William pulled Margaret into his arms. "That went well, right? She didn't scare you off?" "She's terrifying. I like her." Margaret pressed her face into his chest. "Your mom asked me about kids." "What did you say?" "That I haven't thought that far ahead. That we've only been together 3 months." Margaret pulled back to look at him. "But William, do you want kids? Really want them?" "Yes." No hesitation. Someday. With the right person. His hand cupped her cheek. Is that a deal-breaker for you? Margaret thought about her mama, gone 3 years now. Thought about the life lessons she'd never get to pass down. Thought about a little boy with William's blue eyes or a little girl with her curls. No, she whispered. It's not a deal-breaker. William kissed her then, soft and deep and full of promise. I love you, he said against her mouth. Margaret froze. They'd been dancing around the words for weeks, but hearing them out loud made everything real. Terrifyingly real. You don't have to say it back, William said quickly. I just needed you to know. I love you too. The words tumbled out before Margaret could stop them. God help me, I love you too. His smile could have powered the entire city. They made love that night like it was the first time and the 1000th time all at once. And when Margaret woke in his arms the next morning, she didn't feel scared. She felt home. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul, and share your thoughts in the comments to tell us which story you want to hear next. Now let us continue. June 2024. 4 months since Valentine's night. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday. Margaret was at William's penthouse, their penthouse. She was starting to think of it, when her phone rang. An unknown Charleston number. Ms. Thompson? This is Bridget Harper from Southern Business Magazine. We're running a feature on Charleston's power couples and we'd love to include you and William Wick. Margaret's stomach dropped. I'm sorry, what? You two have been spotted all over the city. The billionaire investor and the rising entrepreneur. It's a great story. Very inspiring, especially given the interracial aspect. Our readers would love. No. Margaret's voice was sharp. We're not interested. She hung up, hands shaking. William emerged from his home office. Everything okay? A magazine wants to do a story on us. On our relationship. Margaret paced. They said, especially given the interracial aspect, like we're some kind of diversity headline. William's jaw tightened. I'll call them. Make it clear we're private citizens. It's not just them, William. Don't you see? Margaret turned on him. People are watching us. Talking. We can't just be a couple. We're a statement. A think piece. A conversation starter about race and class and... Hey! William caught her hands. Breathe. We're just two people who love each other. That's all that matters. Is it? Margaret pulled away. You don't understand what it's like. The looks we get when we're out. The way some people smile too big, like they're so proud of themselves for accepting us. The way others stare like we're breaking some unspoken rule. I know people stare. But you don't feel it the same way I do. You can't. Margaret's voice cracked. I'm always going to be the black woman who landed the white billionaire. Gold digger. Social climber. Using she couldn't finish. William's face went pale. You think I see you that way? No. But others will. Others do. Margaret sank onto the couch. I built my business from nothing, William. I earned every client, every success. Now people are going to say I only got there because of you. Because of who I'm sleeping with. The words hung between them like poison. Is that what this is really about? William's voice was quiet. You're ashamed to be with me? What? No. Because it sounds like you care more about what strangers think than what we have. That's not fair. Tears burned Margaret's eyes. You don't get it. You're white. You're a man. You're a billionaire. The world is built for you. But me? I have to work twice as hard for half the recognition. And now people are going to dismiss everything I've accomplished because I'm with you. William was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful. What do you want me to do, Margaret? End this? Pretend we don't exist? I don't know. The truth hurt. I need some space. To think. Space. William's laugh was bitter. Every time things get real, you run. Valentine's night. When I asked you to move in. Now this. That's not true, isn't it? You love me when it's easy. When it's just us in private. But the moment the world intrudes, you pull away. He grabbed his keys. Maybe you should figure out what you actually want. Because I can't keep doing this halfway thing. The door slammed behind him. Margaret sat in the sudden silence, chest heaving. Her phone buzzed. A text from her friend Camille. Just saw the society page. You and William Wick? Girl, call me. Margaret turned off her phone. 3 days passed. Margaret threw herself into work, ignoring Paloma's concerned looks and the ache in her chest that felt like drowning. William didn't call. Didn't text. She told herself it was better this way. Cleaner. They'd gotten too intense too fast. Better to end it now before. Her office door opened. William stood there in a suit, looking like he hadn't slept in days. I'm not giving up on us, he said without preamble. William. Let me finish. He moved closer. You're right. I don't understand what it's like to be you. To navigate the world as a black woman. To have people make assumptions and judgments based on your skin before they even know your name. I can't understand that, not fully. But I want to try. Margaret's throat was tight. I've spent the last 3 days reading. Talking to friends who are in interracial relationships. Trying to understand. William took her hands. And here's what I know, loving you isn't always going to be easy. People are going to say things. Make assumptions. But Margaret, you are worth every stare, every whisper, every stupid magazine article. I'm scared, she whispered. So am I. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. He pressed his forehead to hers. Come home. Please. Margaret kissed him. Tasted salt, hers or his, she didn't know. Okay, she breathed. Okay. They had a long way to go. Hard conversations ahead. But for now, this was enough. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul, and share your thoughts in the comments to tell us which story you want to hear next. Now let us continue. July 4, 2024. Nearly 5 months since Valentine's night. William convinced Margaret to make it official, not just in their hearts, but publicly. They attended a charity gala together as an actual couple, no more hiding. The event was at a historic plantation-turned-event space outside Charleston. Margaret felt sick walking through the grounds. We can leave, William said immediately, reading her discomfort. No. I'm fine. She wasn't. The manicured gardens felt like they were built on graves. But she straightened her shoulders. Let's go. Inside, crystal chandeliers sparkled over Charleston's elite. Margaret recognized business owners, old money families, politicians. Eyes turned when they entered. William's hand was steady on her lower back. You look stunning. She did. The emerald dress had cost more than her first car, but William had insisted on buying it for her birthday last month when she turned 35. She'd finally accepted without arguing. Progress. They mingled. William introduced her to everyone, not as my girlfriend, but as Margaret Thompson, owner of Thompson Marketing, the best strategic mind in Charleston. Some people were genuinely warm. Others smiled with tight lips and calculating eyes. Then Margaret saw her. Rebecca. William's ex-wife. She was beautiful in that polished way money could buy, blonde, thin, dripping in diamonds. She approached with a champagne glass and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. William. How lovely to see you. Rebecca's gaze slid to Margaret. And who's this? Rebecca, this is Margaret Thompson. My girlfriend. William's arm tightened around Margaret's waist. Margaret, this is Rebecca, my ex-wife. Charming. Rebecca's smile sharpened. So you're the one William's been hiding away. I heard rumors, but I thought surely not. You're so different from his usual type. The air went cold. Rebecca, William's voice held warning. What? It's a compliment. Diversity is varying right now. Rebecca sipped her champagne. Though I have to wonder, dear, what a man like William could possibly have in common with someone like you. Beyond the obvious physical attraction, of course. Margaret's nails dug into her palm. Someone like me? Well, you know. Different backgrounds. Different worlds. William was born for this, Rebecca gestured to the gala. Are you sure you're comfortable here? It must be so overwhelming. That's enough. William stepped between them, voice ice. You need to leave. Now. I'm just being honest, darling. Someone has to tell her the truth. You'll get bored. You always do. And she'll be left with nothing but a broken heart and whatever settlement you give her for her trouble. Margaret felt the words like physical blows. Every insecurity she'd been fighting for months crystallized in Rebecca's cruel smile. Margaret, don't listen to her, William reached for her. I need air. Margaret turned, walking fast toward the exit. She made it to the garden before the tears came. Angry, frustrated, humiliated tears. Margaret, wait. William caught up to her. She's a bitter, cruel woman who can't stand seeing me happy. Is she wrong though? Margaret spun to face him. Look at us, William. Really look. You fit in there. I don't. I never will. I don't care about fitting in. But I do. The words ripped out of her. I spent my whole life proving I belong. Building my business. Earning respect. And in 5 seconds, she reduced me to your black girlfriend. The diversity hire in your life. You're not. Aren't I? Be honest, William. Would you have looked at me twice if I were white? Am I just your rebellion? Your way of proving how progressive you are. William looked like she'd slapped him. How can you even ask me that? Because I need to know. Margaret's voice broke. I need to know this is real. That I'm not just convenient, different, exciting. You want to know what you are to me? William grabbed her shoulders. You're the woman I think about when I wake up. The voice I want to hear after a hard day. The person who makes me laugh when I'm taking myself too seriously. You're brilliant and strong and so beautiful it hurts to look at you sometimes. He was crying now too. You're my best friend, Margaret. The love of my life. And yes, you're black and I'm white, and the world is going to have opinions about that. But you are not a phase. You are not a rebellion. You are everything. Margaret sobbed. I'm so scared, William. Scared this won't last. Scared I'm not enough. You're more than enough. You've always been more than enough. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Stay. Fight for us. Please. Okay, she whispered. Okay. They left the gala together, hand in hand. Let them stare. Let them whisper. Later that night, tangled in William's sheets, Margaret made a decision. I'll move in with you. For real this time. William's smile was brighter than the Charleston moon outside. About damn time. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul, and share your thoughts in the comments to tell us which story you want to hear next. Now let us continue. September 2024. 7 months since Valentine's night. Living together was bliss for exactly 6 weeks. Then Margaret's biggest client, the account that paid 40% of her revenue, fired her. We've decided to go in a different direction, the CEO said over the phone, his voice apologetic but firm. We think it's best for both parties. Margaret's hands shook. Can I ask why? Have my results been unsatisfactory? A pause. Too long. Off the record? The board feels your relationship with William Wick creates a conflict of interest. His firm has investments that compete with ours. We can't risk information sharing. The call ended. Margaret sat in her office, numb. That account represented 2 years of work. Steady income. Credibility. Gone because she loved the wrong person. When she told William that night, he was furious. That's discrimination. We'll sue. I'll call my lawyers. No. Margaret's voice was dead. You'll make it worse. Don't you see? This is exactly what I was afraid of. Your world is bleeding into mine. Destroying what I built. One client, Margaret. You'll find others. Will I? She turned on him. Or will every potential client see me as the billionaire's girlfriend? Wonder if I'm sharing their secrets over pillow talk? Question if I earned my success or slept my way to it. That's not fair. None of this is fair. Margaret grabbed her laptop. I need to go to my apartment. Work. Figure this out. You don't have to leave. Yes, I do. I need space to think without you trying to fix everything. She left. William didn't stop her. Margaret spent the next week at her old apartment, working 18-hour days to pitch new clients. 3 rejected her outright. 2 never called back. The whispers were everywhere. Thompson Marketing? Isn't that the woman dating William Wick? Hard to know if she's good or just well-connected. By week 2, Margaret was drowning. Her savings were running low. Bills piling up. And worst of all, she missed William so much she couldn't breathe. But she couldn't go back. Going back felt like admitting defeat. Admitting she couldn't do this alone. Her phone buzzed constantly. William's texts went from concerned to desperate. Please talk to me. I love you. We can figure this out. Margaret, I'm worried. Just tell me you're okay. She responded in one-word answers. Fine. Busy. Later. Then her mother's best friend Azalea showed up at her apartment with sweet tea and hard truths. Baby girl, what are you doing? Azalea sat across from Margaret, concern in her eyes. Working. Trying to save my business. By pushing away the man who loves you? Azalea shook her head. Your mama didn't raise you to be this foolish. Margaret's eyes burned. Ma would understand. She built her life by herself. She didn't need anyone. Your mama was alone because your daddy left, not by choice. And she spent her last months telling you not to make her mistakes. Not to be so independent you forget how to let people in. I let William in. And look what happened. I'm losing everything. You're losing your business, maybe. You haven't lost him. Not yet. Azalea took Margaret's hands. But you will if you keep this up. That man calls me, you know. Asks if you're eating. If you're sleeping. If there's anything he can do. He called you 3 times this week. He's worried sick, Margaret. And he's hurting because the woman he loves won't let him help. Margaret's face crumpled. I don't know how to need someone, Azalea. Every time I do, they leave. Not everyone is your daddy. Not everyone is your ex. William has shown up for you every single day for 7 months. When are you going to believe he's staying? That night, Margaret stared at her phone. At William's last text from hours ago, I love you. That won't change, no matter how long you need. She typed, can we talk? His response was immediate, "I'll be there in 10 minutes." He arrived in 8, looking wrecked, unshaven, exhausted, beautiful. "I'm sorry," they said simultaneously. William pulled her into his arms. "I should have understood. Should have realized my world would complicate yours. I was selfish. You were in love. So was I." Margaret buried her face in his chest. "I'm still terrified, William. Terrified of losing myself in us. Of my identity becoming just your girlfriend. Then we'll figure it out. Together." He tilted her chin up. "But Margaret, you can't shut me out when things get hard. That's not how this works." "I know. I'm trying. It's just..." She took a shaky breath. "I lost my biggest client because of us. I might lose more. My business might not survive this. Then we'll build you something new. Better. Or I'll invest in your company, as a silent partner, completely professional, with lawyers and contracts." "No." Margaret pulled back. "I need to do this myself. Prove I can." William's face fell. "Even if it means losing everything?" "Even then." The silence stretched between them like a chasm. "I can't watch you destroy yourself to prove a point," William said quietly. "And I can't be with someone who doesn't understand why I have to." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul, and share your thoughts in the comments to tell us which story you want to hear next. Now let us continue. October 2024. 8 months since Valentine's night. Margaret moved out completely. Back to her small apartment near Rainbow Row, back to sleepless nights and empty mornings. They didn't break up. Not officially. But they stopped seeing each other. Stopped texting beyond polite check-ins that felt like strangers making conversation. "I need time," Margaret had said. "To rebuild my business without your influence. To prove to myself I can do this." "How much time?" William's voice had been hollow. "I don't know. That was 3 weeks ago." Now Margaret sat in her office at 11 p.m. on a Friday night, staring at her bank account. 2 months of operating costs left. Maybe 3 if she cut her own salary to nothing. She'd landed 1 new client. 1. In 3 weeks of relentless pitching. Her phone buzzed. "Paloma, Ma, you need to eat. I'm bringing food." Margaret didn't respond. Couldn't. The truth was suffocating her. She'd been wrong. Wrong to push William away. Wrong to think she had to do this alone. Wrong to let pride destroy the best thing that had ever happened to her. But how could she go back now? After weeks of silence? After basically telling him his love was a burden she couldn't carry? Her office door opened. Paloma entered with takeout and a stern expression. "Eat. Now." "I'm not hungry." "I don't care. You've lost weight you can't afford to lose. You look like death. And you're miserable." Paloma slammed the food on Margaret's desk. "Call him." "I can't." "Why not? Because you're stubborn? Because you'd rather lose everything than admit you need help?" "Because I broke his heart." Margaret's voice cracked. "I chose my pride over him. Over us. Why would he take me back?" "Maybe because he loves you, you idiot." Paloma softened. "Margaret, your mama taught you to be strong. But she also taught you to be smart. And this? This isn't smart. This is self-destruction." After Paloma left, Margaret opened her laptop. Pulled up her business accounts. The numbers didn't lie. Thompson Marketing was dying. Slowly, painfully, but dying. She'd built this company from her mother's life insurance money. From grief and determination. It was supposed to be her legacy. Proof that she mattered. That she could create something lasting. But what good was a legacy if she was too alone to enjoy it? Margaret picked up her phone. Stared at William's contact. 38 years old. Born in 1986. The man who'd memorized her coffee order and learned to braid her hair. Who'd stood beside her at that horrible gala and called her the love of his life. The man she'd pushed away because she was too scared to believe she deserved happiness. She started typing a text, then deleted it. Started again. Deleted again. What could she possibly say? "Sorry I destroyed us because I'm terrified and broken?" Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Ms. Thompson? This is Gerald Hutchins from Hutchins and Associates. I'm calling on behalf of William Wick." Margaret's heart stopped. "Is he okay?" "Mr. Wick is fine. But he's asked me to contact you regarding a business matter." Papers rustled. "He's prepared to offer Thompson Marketing a substantial investment, $500,000 in exchange for a minority stake. Completely professional arrangement. Contracts, board oversight, the works." "What?" "No. I told him I didn't want." "He anticipated your refusal. Which is why he's structured it as a standard business investment, not a personal favor. He'll be a silent partner. You maintain full creative control. The money keeps your business afloat while you rebuild your client base. Why would he do this? A pause. He said, and I quote, "Because I love her, and I won't watch her dreams die even if she won't let me be part of them." Margaret's eyes flooded. He also said to tell you that the offer stands whether you come back to him or not. That your success matters to him independent of your relationship status. And that he's sorry he didn't understand sooner what you needed. The call ended. Margaret sat in the darkness of her office and cried. Really cried. The ugly, heaving sobs she'd been holding back for weeks. William was trying to save her. Even after she'd pushed him away. Even after she'd chosen pride over love. Because that's who he was. A man who loved completely. Who showed up even when it hurt. And she'd been too scared to see it. Margaret looked around her office. At the business she'd built. The dream she'd been willing to sacrifice everything for, including the man she loved. Her mama's voice echoed in her memory. Baby, being strong doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means knowing when to let people help you carry the weight. Margaret grabbed her keys. It was midnight. William was probably asleep. This was crazy. But she'd been crazy to let him go. Maybe crazy to get him back was the right kind of crazy. She drove to his penthouse overlooking Charleston Harbor, her heart hammering. Pressed the buzzer. Margaret? William's voice crackled through the intercom, shocked. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. The door buzzed open before she could finish. William stood in his doorway in sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His blue eyes were red-rimmed, his hair a mess. He'd never looked more beautiful. Margaret. She kissed him. Desperate, apologetic, all the words she couldn't say poured into the press of her mouth against his. William froze for a heartbeat, then pulled her inside, kicking the door shut. His hands framed her face like he was afraid she'd disappear. I'm sorry, Margaret gasped between kisses. I'm so sorry. I was scared and stupid and I pushed you away. Stop. Breathe. William pressed his forehead to hers. Just breathe. They stood in his entryway, holding each other like drowning people clutching debris. Your lawyer called, Margaret finally said. About the investment. I shouldn't have done that without asking. I couldn't stand watching you struggle. I'll take it. William pulled back, eyes wide. What? The investment. The partnership. All of it. Margaret's hands fisted in his shirt. You were right, William. I was destroying myself to prove a point. Letting my pride kill everything good in my life. Including us. Margaret, you don't have to accept the money to come back to me. I know. That's why I'm accepting it. Because it's a good business decision. Because I need the capital to rebuild. And because, her voice cracked. Because I'm tired of pretending I don't need you. That I can do everything alone. That loving you makes me weak. William's eyes shone. You're the strongest person I know. Then why does asking for help feel so hard? Because someone taught you that needing people means they can hurt you. But baby, he wiped her tears with his thumbs. I'm going to need you every day for the rest of my life. Does that make me weak? No. Then why are you different? The truth hit her like a wave. She wasn't different. She'd just been scared. I love you, Margaret whispered. I never stopped. Even when I was pushing you away, even when I was too stubborn to admit I was wrong, I loved you. I love you too. So damn much. William kissed her softly. But Margaret, we need to talk. Really talk. About what happened. About what you need from me. From us. They moved to the couch overlooking the harbor. The October moon painted silver across the water. I felt like I was disappearing, Margaret said quietly. Like Margaret Thompson was becoming just William Wick's girlfriend. And I worked so hard to be someone. To build something that was mine. The thought of losing that terrified me. I never wanted you to lose yourself. I know. But William, your world is so big. Your money, your influence, your connections, they overshadow everything. And I'm just what? A woman who built a successful business from scratch? Who's brilliant and talented and earned every bit of her success? William took her hands. Margaret, you're not small. You've never been small. But you're so busy trying to prove you don't need anyone that you can't see how much you've already accomplished. Losing that client destroyed me. It felt like proof that I was right. That being with you would cost me everything I'd built. So we figure it out. Together. William's voice was firm. We set boundaries. We keep business separate from personal. We make sure everyone knows that Thompson Marketing succeeds because of you, not because of me. And when people still make assumptions? Then they're idiots, and we don't work with them. He squeezed her hands. But Margaret, you can't control what people think. You can only control what you know to be true. And the truth is that you're exceptional. With or without me. Margaret leaned into him, breathing in his familiar scent. I missed you so much. These past 3 weeks felt like drowning. Never again. Promise me. William tilted her chin up. Promise me that next time things get hard, you'll talk to me instead of running. I promise. But William, you have to promise me something too. Anything. Promise you'll call me out when I'm being stubborn. When I'm letting pride drive decisions. When I need someone to tell me I'm being an idiot. William's laugh rumbled through his chest. That I can definitely do. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the harbor lights dance. Your mom called me, Margaret said eventually. Last week. Catherine called to check on me. She did? Said her son was moping around like a teenager with a broken heart. Asked if I'd come to my senses yet. Margaret smiled. I like your mom. She loves you. Keeps asking when I'm going to marry you. Margaret's heart skipped. William. I know. Too soon. Too fast. But his eyes held something that looked like forever. But for the record? I'm going to marry you someday, Margaret Thompson. When you're ready. When we're ready. But it's happening. That confident, huh? Absolutely certain. And looking at him, Margaret realized she was certain too. November 2024. 9 months since Valentine's night. The investment from Williams' firm hit Thompson Marketing's account on November 1st. $500,000 that felt like breathing room. Like possibility. Margaret hired 2 new employees. Pitched 4 major clients with renewed confidence. Landed 3 of them within 2 weeks. But more importantly, she and William found their rhythm. They had dinner together every night, but kept separate offices. Margaret turned down William's offer to introduce her to potential clients. She wanted to earn them herself. William respected that, even when she could see it killed him not to help more. They were partners. Real partners. Building something together while maintaining their own identities. You're different, Paloma observed one afternoon in mid-November. Lighter. I'm happy. Margaret grinned at her laptop. Actually, genuinely happy. It's disgusting. I love it. That night, William picked Margaret up for dinner at their favorite restaurant, the small place where they'd had their first real date back in March. 8 months ago. A lifetime ago. Why are you smiling like that? Margaret asked as they walked through Charleston's historic streets, past Rainbow Row glowing in the evening light. Just thinking about how far we've come. How different everything is from Valentine's night. When I ran away like a coward. When you were protecting your heart. I can't blame you for that. William squeezed her hand. Though I'm glad you stopped running. Me too. At the restaurant, the same table waited for them. Candlelight. Wine. The owner greeted them like old friends. Over dinner, William seemed nervous. His leg bounced under the table. He kept touching his jacket pocket. You okay? Margaret asked. Yeah. Just, there's something I need to tell you. Her stomach dropped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. It's just, William took a breath. Southern Business Magazine called again. They want to do that feature. On us. On Charleston power couples. Margaret's fork clattered to her plate. William. Wait. Hear me out. He reached across the table. I told them no initially. But then I thought about it. About what you said about people making assumptions. About you being seen as just my girlfriend. Where is this going? What if we did the interview? On our terms. We control the narrative. We talk about your business, your success, your journey. We make it clear that you're not my accessory. I'm lucky enough to be yours. Margaret stared at him. You want to do a public interview? You hate publicity. I hate publicity that's invasive and disrespectful. But this? William's eyes were earnest. This is us taking control. Showing the world exactly who we are. Together. Equal partners. I don't know. Think about it. Every time someone Googles you, they'll see this interview. See your accomplishments. Your words. Your story. Not speculation or assumptions, the truth. Margaret's heart raced. A year ago, even 6 months ago, she would have said no immediately. Too exposed. Too vulnerable. But now? Okay, she heard herself say. Let's do it. William's smile was brilliant. Yeah. But I'm talking about my business at least 60% of the interview. And we're addressing the racial dynamics head on. No tiptoeing around it. Deal. William stood, pulling her up with him. Dance with me. There's still no music. There's always music with you. They swayed in the middle of the restaurant, other diners watching with fond smiles. Margaret rested her head on William's chest, listening to his heartbeat. I have something else to tell you, William murmured against her hair. More surprises? Just one. He pulled back, and suddenly he was on one knee. Margaret's breath stopped. Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, I fell in love with you on February 14th, 9 months ago, when you walked into that bar looking like you wanted to fight the entire world. I fell deeper every day after that. Through your stubbornness and your strength. Your fears and your courage. Your brilliant mind and your beautiful heart. Tears streamed down Margaret's face. I'm 38 years old. Born in 1986. I've lived a lot of life. Built businesses. Made fortunes. But none of it mattered until I met you at 35, and you showed me what it meant to really live. To really love. He pulled out a ring, emerald surrounded by diamonds, the exact color of the dress she'd worn to that awful gala. I know we've only been together 9 months. I know there are people who'll say it's too fast. But baby, when you know, you know. And I know I want to spend the rest of my life loving you. Supporting you. Being your partner in everything. William's voice cracked. Marry me, Margaret. Build a life with me. Let me be yours forever. The restaurant was silent. Everyone watching. Waiting. Margaret dropped to her knees in front of him, taking his face in her hands. Yes. God, yes. 1,000 times yes. The restaurant erupted in applause as William slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her like the world was ending and beginning all at once. I love you, Margaret whispered against his mouth. I love you too. Always. November 15, 2024. Exactly 9 months after Valentine's night. The Southern Business Magazine interview ran 3 days after the proposal. Margaret and William sat together on their couch. She'd officially moved in the day after saying yes, reading it aloud to each other. The headline, Thompson and Wick, Building an Empire on Love and Equal Partnership. The article was perfect. Margaret talked extensively about building her business after her mother's death in March 2021, when she was 32. About the struggle and triumph of entrepreneurship. About maintaining her identity while being in a high-profile relationship. Promise you'll call me out when I'm being stubborn. When I'm letting pride drive decisions. When I need someone to tell me I'm being an idiot. William's laugh rumbled through his chest. That I can definitely do. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the harbor lights dance. Your mom called me, Margaret said eventually. Last week. Catherine called to check on me. She did? Said her son was moping around like a teenager with a broken heart. Asked if I'd come to my senses yet. Margaret smiled. I like your mom. She loves you. Keeps asking when I'm going to marry you. Margaret's heart skipped. William. I know. Too soon. Too fast. But his eyes held something that looked like forever. But for the record? I'm going to marry you someday, Margaret Thompson. When you're ready. When we're ready. But it's happening. That confident, huh? Absolutely certain. And looking at him, Margaret realized she was certain too. November 2024. 9 months since Valentine's night. The investment from Williams' firm hit Thompson Marketing's account on November 1st. $500,000 that felt like breathing room. Like possibility. Margaret hired 2 new employees. Pitched 4 major clients with renewed confidence. Landed 3 of them within 2 weeks. But more importantly, she and William found their rhythm. They had dinner together every night, but kept separate offices. Margaret turned down William's offer to introduce her to potential clients. She wanted to earn them herself. William respected that, even when she could see it killed him not to help more. They were partners. Real partners. Building something together while maintaining their own identities. You're different, Paloma observed one afternoon in mid-November. Lighter. I'm happy. Margaret grinned at her laptop. Actually, genuinely happy. It's disgusting. I love it. That night, William picked Margaret up for dinner at their favorite restaurant, the small place where they'd had their first real date back in March. 8 months ago. A lifetime ago. Why are you smiling like that? Margaret asked as they walked through Charleston's historic streets, past Rainbow Row glowing in the evening light. Just thinking about how far we've come. How different everything is from Valentine's night. When I ran away like a coward. When you were protecting your heart. I can't blame you for that. William squeezed her hand. Though I'm glad you stopped running. Me too. At the restaurant, the same table waited for them. Candlelight. Wine. The owner greeted them like old friends. Over dinner, William seemed nervous. His leg bounced under the table. He kept touching his jacket pocket. You okay? Margaret asked. Yeah. Just, there's something I need to tell you. Her stomach dropped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. It's just, William took a breath. Southern Business Magazine called again. They want to do that feature. On us. On Charleston power couples. Margaret's fork clattered to her plate. William. Wait. Hear me out. He reached across the table. I told them no initially. But then I thought about it. About what you said about people making assumptions. About you being seen as just my girlfriend. Where is this going? What if we did the interview? On our terms. We control the narrative. We talk about your business, your success, your journey. We make it clear that you're not my accessory. I'm lucky enough to be yours." Margaret stared at him. "You want to do a public interview? You hate publicity." "I hate publicity that's invasive and disrespectful. But this?" William's eyes were earnest. "This is us taking control. Showing the world exactly who we are. Together. Equal partners. I don't know. Think about it. Every time someone Googles you, they'll see this interview. See your accomplishments. Your words. Your story. Not speculation or assumptions, the truth." Margaret's heart raced. A year ago, even 6 months ago, she would have said no immediately. Too exposed. Too vulnerable. But now? "Okay," she heard herself say. "Let's do it." William's smile was brilliant. Yeah. But I'm talking about my business at least 60% of the interview. And we're addressing the racial dynamics head-on. No tiptoeing around it. Deal." William stood, pulling her up with him. "Dance with me." "There's still no music." "There's always music with you." They swayed in the middle of the restaurant, other diners watching with fond smiles. Margaret rested her head on William's chest, listening to his heartbeat. "I have something else to tell you," William murmured against her hair. "More surprises?" "Just one." He pulled back, and suddenly he was on one knee. Margaret's breath stopped. "Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, I fell in love with you on February 14th, 9 months ago, when you walked into that bar looking like you wanted to fight the entire world. I fell deeper every day after that. Through your stubbornness and your strength. Your fears and your courage. Your brilliant mind and your beautiful heart." Tears streamed down Margaret's face. "I'm 38 years old. Born in 1986. I've lived a lot of life. Built businesses. Made fortunes. But none of it mattered until I met you at 35, and you showed me what it meant to really live. To really love." He pulled out a ring, emerald surrounded by diamonds, the exact color of the dress she'd worn to that awful gala. "I know we've only been together 9 months. I know there are people who'll say it's too fast. But baby, when you know, you know. And I know I want to spend the rest of my life loving you. Supporting you. Being your partner in everything." William's voice cracked. "Marry me, Margaret. Build a life with me. Let me be yours forever." The restaurant was silent. Everyone watching. Waiting. Margaret dropped to her knees in front of him, taking his face in her hands. "Yes. God, yes. 1,000 times yes." The restaurant erupted in applause as William slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her like the world was ending and beginning all at once. "I love you," Margaret whispered against his mouth. "I love you too. Always." November 15th, 2024. Exactly 9 months after Valentine's night. The Southern Business Magazine interview ran 3 days after the proposal. Margaret and William sat together on their couch. She'd officially moved in the day after saying yes, reading it aloud to each other. The headline, "Thompson and Wick, Building an Empire on Love and Equal Partnership." The article was perfect. Margaret talked extensively about building her business after her mother's death in March 2021, when she was 32. About the struggle and triumph of entrepreneurship. About maintaining her identity while being in a high-profile relationship.